Here are the 9 contestants preparing themselves for today's show, hoping to win up to £10,000. But only one can win the prize money. The others will be sent home with nothing, as one by one they're voted the weakest link.
Welcome to the weakest link. Any of the 9 people here today could win up to £10,000. They don't know each other, however, if they want the prize money, they'll have to work as a team. But 8 of them will leave with nothing, as round by round we lose the player voted the weakest link. Let's meet the team.
My name's Kathy, I'm 27, I'm from Yeovil, Somerset, and I'm a recruitment administrator.
I'm Gwyneth from Derbyshire, I'm 55 and I'm a tour guide.
I'm Phil, I'm 54 years of age, I'm from Sheffield, I'm a bingo caller.
I'm Steve, I'm 27 and I'm an accountant from Droitwich.
I'm Alan, I'm 42, I'm a business systems analyst, I live near Newbury.
I'm Howard, I'm 61, I'm from Bromborough on the Whittle and I'm a boat museum guide.
I'm Maeve from Colchester, I'm 32 and I'm a civil servant.
I'm Peter, I'm 40 years of age and I'm a firefighter from Maidstone in Kent.
I'm Sean, I'm 25, I'm a copywriter from London.
Now the rules. In each round the aim is to answer enough questions correctly to reach your £1,000 target within the time limit. The fastest way is to create a chain of 9 correct answers. Get your question wrong and you break the chain and lose all the money in that chain. But if you say bank before the question is asked, the money is safe. However, you start a new chain from 0. Remember, at the end of the round, only money that has been banked can be taken forward. In the first round, you get 3 minutes. We'll start with the person whose name is first alphabetically. That's you, Alan. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Alan, how many are there in a baker's dozen?
13.
Correct. Howard, is a mollusk an animal, vegetable or mineral?
Animal.
Correct. Maeve, what does an altimeter measure?
Height.
Altitude. Peter, which TV comedy team appeared in the film The Life of Brian?
Cleese and Palin, Monty Python.
Monty Python. Sean, who won the first of his Wimbledon men's singles titles in 1993?
Boris Becker.
Peter Sampras. Kathy, in which game is the aim to get as near to the jack as possible?
Bowls.
Correct. Gwyneth, which screen horror role connects Peter Cushing, Sting and Kenneth Branagh?
Pass.
Frankenstein. Phil, who did Margaret Thatcher replace as Prime Minister in 1979?
Jim Callaghan.
Correct. Steve, which ex-member of the Beatles has a daughter who is a fashion designer?
Paul McCartney.
Correct.
Bank.
Alan, what is the name for a plant which completes its life cycle over 2 years?
Biennial.
Correct. Howard,
Bank.
what do the initials BBC stand for?
British Broadcasting Corporation.
Correct. Maeve, what currency do they use in Denmark?
Don't know.
Krona. Peter, which island is reached by the Menai suspension bridge from the northwestern tip of Wales?
Devon.
Anglesey. Sean, what nationality is artist David Hockney?
I don't know.
British. Kathy, Darjeeling and chamomile are types of what?
Tea.
Correct. Gwyneth, who was leader of the Liberal Party from 1976 to 1988?
Pass.
David Steele. Phil, the British Standards Institute uses what mark as a sign of approval?
A kite mark.
Correct. Steve, Hotel California was a pop hit for which group in 1977?
The Beach Boys.
The Eagles. Alan, what is the name of the French national anthem?
The Marseillaise.
Correct. Howard, Open Sesame is a line from which of the Arabian Nights stories?
Alibaba.
Correct. Maeve, Bavaria is a region of which country?
Germany.
Correct. Peter.
Bank.
Do stalactites grow downwards or upwards?
Downwards.
Correct. Sean, who is better known as the Naked Chef?
Jamie Russell.
Jamie Oliver. Kathy, which British playwright is famous for his dramatic pauses?
Tom Stoppard.
Harold Pinter. Gwyneth, in musical terminology, which is faster, adagio or allegro?
Allegro.
And the time is up, and I can't accept that answer. Now, team, of the £1,000 available, you've won only 170. Who do you think is the worst player? One of you is about to leave with nothing. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Statistically, Sean is the first round's weakest link, having got the most questions wrong. The strongest link is Alan, who answered all his questions right and banked £50 for the team. But will the votes follow the facts?
OK, pens down, voting over. Please reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Maeve.
Peter.
Sean.
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 Gwyneth.
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 Sean. Not much interested in tennis, Sean?
Absolutely cannot believe I said Boris Becker.
Can't you? The others can.
I know, I can see that. But
And why did you vote for Gwyneth?
just because she can't swing at me from over there.
Do you think she did worse than anyone else?
Certainly no worse than me, I would
Certainly
say.
no worse than you, Sean. You didn't get anything right, Sean.
I know, I wasn't aware of that, but thanks for pointing it out.
You're a lucky man because statistically you're the weakest link. But of course it's the votes that count. Gwyneth, with 4 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I said I couldn't reach you. A bit degrading, isn't it, really? My pub quiz team will never believe it, but I got David Steele wrong and Kenneth Branagh and all. It was probably the occasion that got to me. I think the next one to go might be Kathy.
Round 2. Now, you've won a very miserable £170 when you could have won 1,000. 8 players left. We are now taking 10 seconds off the clock. We will start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Alan. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Alan, who was the first man to run the mile in under 4 minutes?
Roger Bannister.
Correct. Howard, where was the actress and model Brigitte Bardot born?
France.
Correct. Maeve, which London Underground line was recently extended to reach the Millennium Dome?
Jubilee.
Correct. Peter.
Bank.
The Aztec Empire was based in which country?
Peru.
Mexico. Sean, whose TV show finished with the phrase, "It's good night from me and it's good night from him"?
The Two Ronnies.
Correct. Kathy, complete the title of this 1981 horror film, An American Werewolf in...
London.
Correct. Phil, in the human body, the sternum is more commonly known as what?
Breastbone.
Correct. Steve, Budapest is the capital city of which country?
Czechoslovakia.
Hungary. Alan, the Beat Generation was a literary movement founded in which decade?
1960s.
1950s. Howard, who did Queen Victoria replace as the British monarch in 1837?
George III.
William IV. Maeve, according to the Bible, which town did Jesus grow up in?
Nazareth.
Correct. Peter, which famous star was married to Joe DiMaggio and Arthur Miller?
Marilyn Monroe.
Correct. Sean, which planet within our solar system has a large red spot on it?
Jupiter.
Correct. Kathy.
Bank.
In American football, how many points are awarded for a touchdown?
4.
6. Phil, Which famous headland lies about 7 miles east of Portrush in Northern Ireland?
The Giant's Causeway.
Correct. Steve, in business terms, what do the initials PLC stand for?
Public Limited Company.
Correct. Alan, which Hollywood tough guy starred in Angels with Dirty Faces and White Heat?
James Cagney.
Correct. Howard.
Bank.
What name is given to the study of climate and weather variations?
Meteorology.
Correct. Maeve, which songstress had a #1 pop hit earlier this year with Rise?
Gabrielle.
Correct. Peter, World War II began when Germany invaded which country?
Poland.
Correct.
Bank.
Sean, what name is given to trees and shrubs which bear cones?
Coniferous.
Conifers. We'll accept coniferous. Kathy, what is the correct name for an Australian wild dog?
Dingbat.
Dingo. Phil, what was the name of the city the Superman stories were set in?
Gotham.
Metropolis. Steve, what year did Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson get married?
1987.
1986. Right, your time is up. You've fallen short of the £1,000 mark again. You banked £400. Which player is not worth their place? One of you is about to depart with nothing. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Having been the weakest link last time, Sean is this round's strongest link. He answered all his questions correctly and banked the most money for the team. The weakest link statistically is Kathy, with the least correct answers. But will the team have realised that?
OK, pens down, voting over. It's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Steve.
Peter.
Sean.
Kathy.
Sean.
Steve.
Sean.
Kathy.
Steve, why did you vote for Sean?
I think Sean had a poor start and didn't quite recover well enough.
Really? And Peter, why Sean?
I think Sean's had a poor start. The first round he may have gone. Second round he hasn't got any better. I think Sean should go.
Really? Did you get any better, Peter?
I only got one answer wrong of the questions I got.
You only got 2 right, didn't you?
Only one wrong.
Sean,
Hello.
you'll be thrilled to hear you were the strongest link in that round.
You beauty.
Vote-wise, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I'd actually hadn't even realised. I thought it was a tie, and I didn't realise that I'd been voted off regardless. And I was quite dismayed, especially the comments from Peter, who's a very, very nice guy. But to say I made a poor recovery when I didn't get a question wrong, I was surprised and a bit gutted, to be honest. In the next round, I expect Kathy will be voted off, but there's a strong potential, I think, for Howard as well, because he tends to and ah a bit.
Round 3, team. You've won £570 so far, when you could have won 2,000. You're down to 7 players. We are taking another 10 seconds off the clock. Curiously, you voted off the strongest link from the last round. So we'll go with the second strongest link, which was Maeve. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Maeve, the Beaufort scale is used to measure the strength of what?
Earthquakes.
Wind. Peter, what is the Charleston?
It's a dance.
Correct. Kathy, who is the teenage singing sensation who has sung privately for the Pope and the Clintons?
Britney Spears.
Charlotte Church. Phil, what name is given to the distance from the centre to the circumference of a circle?
The radius.
Correct. Steve, how many times did Harold Wilson win a general election as leader of the Labour Party?
3 times.
Twice. Alan, the bouzouki is a traditional instrument of which country?
Hungary.
Greece. Howard, in fashion, what are brogues?
Shoes.
Correct. Maeve, Who plays Inspector Raymond Fowler in the TV series The Thin Blue Line?
Rowan Atkinson.
Correct. Peter, H.E. Bates, The Darling Buds of May featured which family?
The Darlings.
The Larkins. Kathy, which ballet dancer won the Derby in 1970?
Nureyev.
Nijinsky. Phil, Palermo is on which Mediterranean island?
Sicily.
Correct. Steve, at what age does a Jewish boy traditionally celebrate his bar mitzvah?
5.
13. Alan. In 1911, Roald Amundsen became the first person to reach which point?
The South Pole.
Correct. Howard, which major American political party opposes the Democratic Party?
The Republicans.
Correct.
Bank.
Maeve, in a standard household plug, what colour is a 13-amp fuse?
Brown.
Correct. Peter, what name is given to the alternative treatment of inserting needles into the body to improve health?
Acupuncture.
Correct. Kathy, which property of a radio wave is measured in kilohertz, frequency or wavelength?
Medium wave.
Frequency. Phil, in food, what is iceberg a variety of?
Lettuce.
Correct. Steve, which Beatles album was named after a London street?
Abbey Road.
Correct. Alan, what is the last event in the decathlon?
1,500 metres.
Correct. Howard, paintings called grisaille are done entirely in shades of which colour?
Brown.
Grey. Maeve, how many squares are there on a chessboard?
64.
Correct. Peter, Johnny Rotten was the lead singer of which 70s punk band?
Sex Pistols.
Correct. Kathy, name Australia's most famous outlaw.
Jesse James.
The time is up. The answer was Ned Kelly. Well, you've won just £100. 1,000 was available. Well, someone's got to go. A member of the team is about to leave with nothing. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
The strongest link in this round is Phil, who answered all his questions correctly. Kathy got all her questions wrong, which makes her the weakest link statistically. But will she collect the most votes?
OK, pens down, voting over. It's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Steve.
Kathy.
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 Well, not much doubt about that, Kathy. What was your thinking behind suggesting that Britney Spears might have sung for the Pope?
Well, as soon as I heard something like teenage singer, I immediately thought of Britney Spears, but I knew the answer was Charlotte Church.
Maeve, why did you vote for Kathy?
It was more a build-up over the last couple of rounds, really. I just don't think she was doing as well as she started off.
Well, Kathy, you can't really argue with the result. All your teammates have voted you the weakest link. Goodbye.
Basically, that round was an absolute disaster for me. As soon as I said Britney Spears instead of Charlotte Church, I went to pieces. I kept thinking about that answer. Then it put me off for the other 3 questions. I think the next person to go will be Maeve, because she is getting some of the questions wrong out there.
Right, team, we're on to round 4. So far, you've won £670 out of a potential prize money of £3,000. There are 6 of you left. We are taking another 10 seconds off the clock. You now have just 2.5 minutes. We're going to start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Phil. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Phil, on which continent is the Nubian Desert?
Africa.
Correct. Steve, George Gershwin wrote a rhapsody in which colour?
Blue.
Correct. Alan, launched in 1941, Operation Barbarossa was the German code name for the invasion of where?
Russia.
Correct. Howard,
Bank.
which Gorgon was so ugly that all who saw her face were turned to stone?
Don't know.
Medusa. Maeve, what kind of fruit is a Cox's orange pippin?
It's an apple.
Correct. Peter, Who plays the title role in Woody Allen's film Annie Hall?
I don't know.
Diane Keaton. Phil, which inventor patented the phonograph?
Edison.
Correct. Steve, which footballer is married to Victoria Adams?
David Beckham.
Correct. Alan, what herb would you use to make pesto?
Parsley.
Basil. Howard, which Scottish football team's home ground is the Pittodrie Stadium?
Aberdeen.
Correct. Maeve, sapphires are normally what colour?
Blue.
Correct. Peter, which flower do Welsh people traditionally wear in their buttonholes on St David's Day?
Daffodil.
Correct. Phil, what does the acronym CD stand for?
Compact disc.
Correct. Steve,
Bank.
what is the minimum age for joining the French Foreign Legion?
21.
17. Alan, which cartoon character's slogan, underachiever and proud of it, was banned from T-shirts in American schools?
Bart Simpson.
Correct. Howard, what profession is shared by Ainsley Harriott and Gordon Ramsay?
They are cooks, chefs.
Correct.
Bank.
Maeve, from Blue Peter, what was the name of John Noakes's dog?
Shep.
Correct. Peter, which monkey gives its name to a human blood group?
Rhesus.
Correct. Phil,
Bank.
which singer's hits include Holiday and Ray of Light?
I don't know.
Madonna. Steve, which South African language derives from the Dutch settlers?
Swahili.
Afrikaans. Alan, name the chemicals in aerosols which destroy the ozone layer.
Hydrocarbons.
No CFCs. Howard, which peninsula lies between the estuaries of the River Dee and Mersey?
The Whittle Peninsula.
Correct. Maeve, in which war film is Marlon Brando's character hunted down? Time is up and I cannot complete the question. And you've missed out on another £1,000 target. This time you banked £400. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
The statistics show that Alan is the weakest link with the most wrong answers and no money banked for the team. With all her questions answered correctly, Maeve is this round's strongest link. But how will the team vote?
OK, pens down, voting over. It's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Steve.
Howard.
Steve.
Alan.
Steve.
Steve.
Right, Phil, why Steve?
Because I thought he was the weakest link, Annie. I just thought that he hesitated and also he didn't know an answer, which I did.
Steve, you had to search to the back of your brain, didn't you?
I did.
For the answer David Beckham. Did you not know immediately?
Victoria Adams is not a name that I associate with Posh Spice anymore.
Right. And even though statistically you weren't the weakest link, you're the person that most people on the team have voted off. So, Steve, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
It's difficult up there. For example, the Victoria Adams question. I'm a Man United fan, I know who that was, but the pressure's on. I think next out will be Alan.
Round 5, team, and your total is £1,070. Whereas if you'd hit your targets, it would be £4,000. There are 5 of you left. Another 10 seconds is coming off the time. We are going to start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Maeve. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Maeve, in which war film is Marlon Brando's character hunted down by Martin Sheen's?
I don't know.
Apocalypse Now. Peter, on which island did Napoleon Bonaparte die in exile in 1821?
Elba.
No. St Helena. Phil, what is the main language of Brazil?
Portuguese.
Correct. Alan, which Briton won the gold medal in the women's javelin at the 1984 Olympics?
Fatima Whitbread.
Tessa Sanderson. Howard, which jazz musician was the subject of Clint Eastwood's film Bird?
Charlie Parker.
Correct. Maeve, the Lake District National Park is situated in which county?
Cumbria.
Correct. Peter, cranberries are a rich source of which vitamin?
C.
Correct. Phil, what is the name of David Bowie's Model Y?
I don't know.
Iman. Alan, who is the writer and star of TV's Dinner Ladies?
Julie Walters.
Victoria Wood. Howard, in science, fission is the process of splitting what?
The atom.
Correct. Maeve, in which Shakespeare tragedy does Ophelia appear?
Othello.
Hamlet. Peter, in soccer, how many yards is the penalty spot from the nearest point of the goal line?
12.
Correct. Phil, which country did Yuri Andropov become president of in 1983?
Russia.
Correct. Alan.
Bank.
What name is given to fatty deposits on the thighs and bottom which give the skin an orange peel appearance?
Adipose tissue.
Cellulite. Howard. In textiles, what do you call the East Indian method of wax printing?
Calico printing.
Batik. Maeve, in which year was Nick Leeson arrested for the Barings Bank financial collapse?
95.
Correct. Peter, in which Commonwealth country was George Orwell born in 1903?
India.
Correct. Phil.
Bank.
Thresher and basking are types of which fish?
Shark.
Correct. Alan, which country fought a civil war from 1861 to 1865?
America.
United States. We'll accept that. Howard, in the legend of King Arthur... Right, the time is up. You didn't make it to £1,000. You banked only £100. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
The weakest link statistically in this round is Alan, who got the most questions wrong. The strongest link this time is Phil. But who will get the most votes?
OK, pens down, voting over. It's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Alan.
Howard.
Alan.
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 Peter, why did you vote for Alan?
I think Alan's had a couple of strong rounds, but the last 2 rounds he's struggled a bit. And out of the rest of the team, he was the weakest link.
Alan, do you not watch much television?
Not as much as I ought to, perhaps.
No. Haven't seen Dinner Ladies?
I have seen it, and I can picture it, and I can imagine Julie Walters in it, and I can suddenly sort of think of who's actually the person in charge. And...
Yeah. Well, I'm afraid with 4 votes, Alan, you're the weakest link. Goodbye.
I think when I watch myself on TV, I shall cringe and say, why didn't I know that answer? Why couldn't I give the answer at the right time? I think in the next round, Howard is going to be the person who goes. He was doing well, but he's not doing as well as the other 3, and I feel that he's going to be the weakest link next.
Right, round 6, and you've won £1,170 when you could have won £5,000. There are 4 of you left. We are cutting another 10 seconds from your time. We are going to start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Phil. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Phil, the River Dee flows past which royal residence on its way to the North Sea?
Balmoral.
Correct. Howard, Blood on the Tracks and Highway 61 Revisited were hit albums for which singer?
Don't know.
Bob Dylan. Maeve, on which day of the week do Catholics traditionally not eat meat?
Friday.
Correct. Peter, which Tom Hanks film tells of a mission to the moon which goes wrong?
Apollo 13.
Correct. Phil, who was British Prime Minister at the end of World War I?
I've forgotten.
David Lloyd George. Howard, what is the name of Japan's highest mountain?
Kilimanjaro.
Mount Fuji. Maeve, which political party's headquarters is found at Millbank?
The Liberal Democrats.
The Labour Party. Peter, how many times a year does the equinox occur?
Twice.
Correct. Phil, what nationality was the Protestant reformer Martin Luther?
German.
Correct. Howard, in which country's league would you find the football teams Forfar and East Fife?
Scottish.
Correct. May.
Bank.
In which American state is the Grand Canyon?
California.
Arizona. Well banked. Peter, Who was elected MP for the borough of Huntingdon in 1628?
Cromwell.
Correct. Phil, what is the title of Isaac Walton's famous book on fishing?
Forgotten.
The Complete Angler. Howard, TV comedy drama Our Vida Saint Pet was set in which country?
Germany.
Correct. Maeve, pearl and pot are varieties of which grain?
Rice.
Barley. Peter, if you were in Afghanistan, what is Afghani?
It's a language.
It's a money. Phil, which political title is held by Betty Boothroyd?
She's a speaker.
Correct. Howard, E.M. Grace and G.F. Grace both played cricket for England. What were the initials of their more famous brother?
WG.
Correct. May.
Bank. Who
plays Dr. Well, time's up. Well banked, Maeve. You got £170 of the 1,000 you could have won in that round. Think carefully. Think money. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
With the least correct answers, Maeve is the weakest link statistically. Peter is the strongest link with the fewest wrong answers. But there was little to choose between the players. So, what will happen in the voting?
OK, pens down, voting over. It's time to reveal who you think was the weakest link.
Maeve.
Phil.
Howard.
Howard.
Right, so we're all underlining now to make absolutely certain, are we? Maeve, why Howard?
Oh, that was a really close call, that round. Don't think any of us did very well, but I just think Howard was next to me.
Well, statistically, Maeve, you were the weakest link, but vote-wise, Howard, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I think that Maeve was one who voted me out. Maeve got a lot less questions right than I did. I think she got 1 and I think I got 3. And to be honest, I think Maeve should have been the one that was out and I should have stayed. I think in the next round, Phil will possibly go. He started off very well when we started, but he seems to be losing it a lot now.
Round 7, team, and you have £1,340 out of a possible 6,000 you could have won by now. Just 3 of you. And another 10 seconds is coming off the clock. We're going to start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Peter. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Peter, in nutrition, what does RDA stand for?
I don't know.
Recommended daily allowance. Phil, which French king was known as the Sun King?
Louis XIV.
Correct. Maeve, what is the BBC's rolling news channel called?
BBC 24.
News 24. I'll accept. Peter, what type of weapon was a blunderbuss?
It was a gun, rifle.
A musket, but I'll accept gun. Phil, who
Bank.
created the... For £20, who created the fictional spy Harry Palmer?
Michael Caine.
Len Dayton. Maeve, which animal's name means old man of the forest?
Chimpanzee.
Orangutan. Peter, in the cartoon, in which park do Yogi Bear and Boo Boo live?
Yellowstone.
Jellystone Park. Phil, which member of the royal family won a gold medal at the 1976 Olympics?
Princess Anne.
Correct. Maeve, in the field of computer software, what do the letters DTP stand for?
Desktop publishing.
Correct. Peter, in which city is the Crucible Theatre venue of the World Professional Snooker Championship?
Sheffield.
Correct. Phil, which ex-EastEnders actress had a hit with Perfect Moment?
Wendy Richards.
Martine McCutcheon. Maeve, in which film does Michael J. Fox travel in time to make a man out of his dimwit father?
Back to the Future.
Correct. Peter, what tendon joins the muscles of the calf to the heel bone?
Achilles.
Correct. Phil, in snooker, how many points is the yellow ball worth?
2 points.
Correct. Maeve.
Bank.
Which planet within our solar system is orbited by the most moons?
Pluto.
Jupiter. Peter, what is a jockey's uniform called?
Silks.
Correct. Phil, which is the most westerly point on the English mainland?
The Land's End.
Correct. Maeve. Time's up, but Maeve, you banked just in time. However, you didn't reach your £1,000 target. You reached £250. Now, in round 8, you get the chance to treble what you bank. That means in the next rounds, there's £3,000 to be won. The question is, who is most likely to let you down? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
The statistics show that all three played a very similar round, but Phil is the strongest link this time, and Maeve is the weakest link. But as it's so close, will the votes match the statistics?
OK, pens down, voting over. It's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Peter.
Phil.
Phil.
Peter, why Phil?
I voted Phil off because I knew he was going to vote me off.
Maeve, why Phil?
Phil hasn't had a particularly good last couple of rounds, and Peter has.
Have you had...
No, I haven't had a good round at all.
Well, it's not funny, is it? Because you've lost money for the rest of the team.
I did bank. I did quite a bit of banking.
But you were the weakest link statistically, and Phil was the strongest. Interestingly, for the second time, team, you've voted off the strongest link. There's nothing I can do about that, Phil. With 2 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I thought that I was doing okay, but my 2 competitors thought otherwise. I think probably Maeve will win. She seems to be more cool and calm and collected than Peter.
Round 8, you've won £1,590 so far. You could have won 7,000. Maeve, Peter, just 2 left. This time you have only 90 seconds, but whatever you win in this round will be trebled and added to your total to make up your final prize money. £3,000 is at stake in this round. You voted off the strongest link from the last round. So we'll go with the second strongest link, that's Peter. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Peter, what are the first 3 words in the King James Bible?
Let there be light.
In the beginning. Maeve, according to legend, what Irish stone, if kissed, will bless you with the gift of the gab?
Blarney Stone.
Correct. Peter, which 1999 blockbuster film sees Keanu Reeves trapped inside an enormous computer?
I don't know.
The Matrix. Maeve, what French term means a feeling that you've already seen or done something?
Deja vu.
Correct. Peter, in which US TV sitcom did the singer David Cassidy appear?
The Brady Bunch.
The Partridge Family. Maeve, where in Britain is Cows Week held every year?
Isle of Wight.
Correct. Peter, what is the name for a plant which completes its life cycle in 1 year?
An annual.
Correct. Maeve,
Bank.
what organ does an aquatic animal use to breathe underwater?
Its gills.
Correct. Peter, in the Teletubbies, what colour is Poe?
Red.
Correct. Maeve, who did Edward VIII replace as British monarch in 1936?
Edward VII.
George V. Peter, in physics, what is the Kelvin scale used for?
Temperature.
Correct. Maeve, in fashion, what is chenille a type of?
It's a fabric.
Correct. Peter,
Bank.
where would you find an ISBN number?
Telephone.
On a book. Maeve, the Golden Temple of Amritsar can be found in which country? Time up, I can't accept your answer. And you didn't make it to £1,000, you won just £100. But we'll treble that and add it to the winnings from the previous rounds. That means prize money today of £1,890. However, only one of you can take that money away. You'll be playing against each other head to head. I'll ask alternate questions. It's the best of 5. Whoever answers the most correctly wins. It is as simple as that. So, Maeve and Peter, for £1,890, let's play The Weakest Link. Maeve, as the strongest link in the last round, you have the choice of who goes first.
I think I'll let Peter go first.
Peter, step forward. Now let me remind you, you're playing for £1,890. Peter, in the children's book Heidi, what was the name of her goat-herding friend?
I don't know.
Peter is the answer. Maeve, step forward, please. Maeve, which island lies immediately north of Sardinia?
Corsica.
Correct. Right, Peter. What do the initials CND stand for?
Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament.
That is the correct answer. Maeve, please step forward again. Who was assassinated on the Ides of March?
Julius Caesar.
That is the correct answer. Right, Peter. Which movie star is also known as the Fresh Prince?
Will Smith.
That is the correct answer. Maeve, if you wish to stay ahead, you need to answer this question correctly. In the TV comedy series of the same name, what does MASH stand for?
Mobile Army Surgical Hospital.
Correct! Peter, which 2 Old Testament cities were destroyed for the sinful behaviour of their inhabitants?
Sodom and Gomorrah.
That is correct. Maeve. In which position did footballer Gordon Banks make 73 appearances for England between 1963 and 1972?
Was he a striker?
No. Goalkeeper. We are playing for £1,890. Peter, which newsreader now presents Desert Island Discs?
Angela Rippon.
The answer is Sue Lawley. Maeve. Answer this question correctly and you leave the studio with £1,890. Maeve, sufferers from which disease could be classified as insulin dependent?
Diabetes.
That is the correct answer. And that means, Maeve, you are today's strongest link and you go away with £1,890. Peter, you leave with nothing. You've been watching The Weakest Link. Bye.
Certainly none of my work colleagues know I'm here in case I fail to win, and that's the case. They won't know that I've been here. Only my immediate family will know that, and they most certainly won't be watching it because they certainly don't want to see a loser at work.
Absolutely delighted that I'm going to go home with a cheque. It's been a hard day, pretty stressful, but I'm just thrilled.
Show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser.